Hello friends, it's Isabel from Blue Sapphire here. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining me for this video. I've been trying to do this video now for a few days and every time I start it I get interrupted or it just doesn't feel right, so I'm going to give it another go today and hope that I have enough peace to do it with you. What I'm going to do is, it's kind of a response to some videos I've been watching, so it's a bit of a VR, but also isn't a VR, if that's, it sounds a bit confusing, doesn't it? Sorry. But basically, I thought I'd just talk about the decks that I've decided to work with over the next few weeks. So, feeds into the hashtag spooky seasons decks, hashtag decks for the fall. So there have been various videos that people have done around the decks they're using either for the autumnal season as it is here in the northern hemisphere, or feeding into Samhain in the next few weeks. Now just to say that I've actually, one of the sets I was going to show, I'm just waiting for a deck to come in to kind of make that up. I've recently started trying to find good combinations to work with to do daily card pulls. So one of the combinations that I've started working with for my fall, and the first one I'm going to show as part of this kind of response, is this. So I picked the Labyrinth Tarot, as this is, to me, has a little bit of a kind of spooky vibe. It kind of reminds me as well of sort of curling up in front of a film and as the weather gets colder. So I decided to use this. So I've just started working with it. And as I say, I've been trying to kind of pair a tarot maybe with an oracle and another type of deck, or two, or mixtures and of decks for my pull, so that I've got clarification and extra cards when I'm doing a daily pull. So since Friday I've had out this deck, which I've been using with the White Hair Wisdom Oracle. Now this is the pocket version, which I was very kindly given as a prize. I also have been using the moon cards from the same people, so these are done by Phil and Jackie Lovesey, who do the Arboretum Oracle, the Matlock the Hare stories, and also the League of Lid Curving Witchery. Now I first came across them when I backed my very first Kickstarter, which was this. This is the 4 Covens playing cards by the same people as the White Hair Wisdom. So I backed this and then started following them, won this and bought their moon cards. I've recently bought their calendar for 2022, and I am keeping my eye open because I know they've got another oracle deck on the way. Anyway, although it doesn't look quite right, this is proving to be quite a nice little triplicate. So yesterday, the cards I pulled from this were the 10 of Pots, so this equates to your cups, the Magic card, and this Memories card with the hats. And it was just, it did, when I read it for myself and the situation I was in, it did seem to work really well, although aesthetically I'm not sure these guys work really well together, and obviously these do, but it did seem to work quite well as a combination. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. As I say, it's sort of roughly a week, and actually what I'll possibly do is at the end of this video I haven't actually got around to doing my daily pull today, even though it's quite late in the day, so I might do that. So that's a combination I'm using at the moment. What I'm doing is I'm not being too rigid, so although I was doing it roughly 1 a week, the cards I started with this last week just weren't gelling with me, so I decided to swap. So I'll probably use these maybe till the end of the week, unless I fancy a change. And when I do fancy a change, there's a couple of other combinations that I'm looking at. So I am going to bring out my everyday witchcraft. I have both the large and the mini. The mini I like to have on my desk and I just play with, but I do have the large, and this was like one of my earliest decks last year, and I really love it and want to do some more work with it. What I have actually done is I've ordered the Everyday Witchcraft Oracle to the Everyday Witch Oracle to go with this, so that I can pair them up. If it doesn't arrive, then I'll maybe pair this with one of my other oracles, or I'll try one of my other combinations. Other things moving for an autumnal feel, and whether I'll use these in October or perhaps a bit later, is Drewcraft, which I've recently got in. So for me, this is kind of like that Druid feel, the autumnal fruits. So this isn't a spooky deck. This is why I'm not doing this as a specific spooky season deck. I have very limited spooky season decks. I don't have a lot, and when I've looked at videos like I really, you'll see in a minute, I basically only have a couple of decks that fit into that full-on spooky season, because at the moment that's not really the kind of decks I go for. And I am going to maybe do a response to the Not My Aesthetic hashtag as well, which that links into. So this is a combination. So this is the Drewcraft Tarot, which I've only recently got in. I may do my very first mod on this deck. This is the smaller version, so it comes with a small book rather than a large book, and I got it for a really reasonable price on eBay, but I really don't like the size of the cards. This is my absolute love this, my Mist of Avalon Oracle, but I think it will work really well together, and also my little Forest Fae, which is sort of the same illustrator as the Mist of Avalon, so again it should work really well. So that's a combination I plan on using as well, in whether I use it in the next couple of weeks in the sort of autumn, or whether I leave it for kind of a bit later, I'm not sure. But that's a combination that I think is going to work really well. And then, as I say, my spooky decks are very limited. I do have, as I mentioned a minute ago, my Everyday Witch, and that obviously really ties into this season. But in terms of the decks I've got, that's really probably one of my only ones. I did, however, pick up the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle earlier in the year. Now, I haven't worked with this because I decided to save it for this time of year. So I'm definitely going to be working with this very soon. But I then was very tempted and decided to pick up the Halloween Tarot, which this is the orange back deck. Now, as you can see, this is still sealed. This literally came in yesterday. I ordered online from a bookshop the standard size deck. They then decided they were out of stock, so they cancelled my order. I then went back online and I saw that on Amazon UK this set was showing, but coming from Amazon US, and you can't get this as standard in the UK. So sorry, it's a bit close to the camera, I apologise. I gave it a punt, and it's come a week earlier than I was expecting, and there was no additional import fees or anything, so I'm absolutely made up because I've got the little book to go with it. So I'm looking forward to opening this. I haven't opened it yet because we had a bit of a manic weekend, and I don't want to just open it and then put it to one side. So the plan is to work these two together as my most spooky decks. However, I also, been a bit naughty recently, bought these, the Royal Mischief Transformation playing cards. Now, weirdly, I have looked numerous times at videos where people have talked about Patrick Valenza's Deviant Moon, and I keep going back to that deck, and every time I go back I'm actually quite put off, but then I think, oh no, I'll give it a go. But I haven't bought it because I just don't think it will work for me at the moment. However, I saw a video where someone was using playing cards alongside tarot, and I saw this playing card and I was like really drawn to it. Turned out it was from this set. So I've picked this up, and I've now found myself going down a whole playing card divination rabbit hole as well. But I think these will work quite nicely with any of these. They may even well work with my Everyday Witch, but I think these are going to be a nice little set of cards to play with over the next few weeks. So in terms of spooky season decks, this is probably the spookiest combination I've got. I am thinking of getting Orshi's Zombie Oracle, but I am not drawn to the Zombie Tarot. I've even looked at the Santa Muerte Tarot because I adore the film Coco. If you haven't seen the film Coco, it's a really lovely film based around the Day of the Dead celebrations, and but there's just something that keeps putting me off with all those decks. So at the moment, I think for this year, I'm going to focus in on these decks and my Everyday Witch, and then, as I say, for a bit of fall, I'll add in my Drewcraft and everything in the next few weeks. I'm really interested to see what people are planning on doing beyond Samhain. I have got the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle, which I haven't opened yet because I'm waiting to treat myself in the run up to Christmas. But I was kind of looking at my decks the other day and realised that I wasn't sure what decks I might use beyond October. And I really like the idea of using decks that sort of feel right for the season. So if anyone's got any thoughts about the decks they're using beyond October, then I'd be really interested to hear. But anyway, what I'm going to do to finish off is I'm going to pull some cards from the 3 decks that I've chosen for this week, and see what comes out. Whether I interpret them or not, I'm not sure. I absolutely love these Labyrinth cards. They're really nice cards for to shuffle. I'm an absolute rubbish shuffler at the moment. They've got a lovely back on them, but they're moving really well. I don't yet really riffle shuffle, so apologies, I'm not going to do that. And then I've got cards. So looks like I'm going to take that card. In fact, I'm going to take both of those because they've come out together. So I've got the 10, I think that's 10 of the equivalent of 10 of Wands, and the Page of Junk. So the Junk is Pentacles in this deck. I think that represents the 10 of Wands. I'm sorry, my camera's decided to be really grainy. Let me just zoom in so you can see those. So this is kind of like one of the characters in the Labyrinth film. These have such a lovely feel. So yeah, so we've got, I'm afraid I'm going to my trusty guidebook just to double check which ones I've got. So yeah, so we've got the Page of Junk, Poles. I knew it wasn't Wands. Yeah, the 10 of Poles. So sort of responsibility, letting others play their part, which is really interesting because there's a lot of stuff at the moment where I'm probably taking too much on and I'm not kind of letting others help me and support me as they perhaps should. And I also have got some stuff going on in work where I need to be creative and I'm trying to do it without any support. Maybe I need to be asking others for that. And then you know, moving out on a journey and starting a new business, dreaming big, interesting. I have got thoughts about career change, so maybe, you know, there's quite a book that seems to be leading at the moment to me trying to look at that area. Another card I pulled recently seemed to go down that rabbit hole of, you know, is it time for a change? What can I be doing? I've become quite stuck and stagnant. I don't know about anyone else, but like I was very lucky that my job stayed, but has just completely changed while we were in lockdown and then gone back to a bit more normality now. But it just feels like all the negative stuff from before is just coming back, and I've just felt really overloaded and overwhelmed this week. So my job involves going out into schools, so I did that for the first time again this week. I work 4 days and it feels like my manager hasn't really figured that. So I've now pulled Curiosity from this little deck. And what I love about this deck is the little stories that go with them. So this one's called Noggle, which is the word. They're all done in the different elements. So the little feathers in the top corner represent air, if I remember rightly. Or might not. I could be wrong. Let me double check. But yeah, I think that represents air. So this one is, I'm just a curiosity. You see, this to me is like curiosity that can help feed into my project work, and then this curiosity about what's out there, what could I be doing, how could I be changing my material life through curiosity and through looking at what's available and what's out there. You know, exploring, making sense of surroundings. I think that's quite interesting. What knowledge can I acquire? What discovery, what magical adventures? So that seems to link into that kind of idea of maybe looking at a new adventure. Now I have been pulling a playing card as well. Whether this will fit in, it isn't always fitting in, and apologies, but I do have to go for reference books and stuff just at the moment. You can see how these are kind of, the decks I was using last week were just not talking to each other at all. It was driving me bonkers. Oh, there we go, one's come out. So this is the Page of Crooked Hats, Thalia, and it has a keyword. These have, so this is a gorgeous little deck. It's playing cards, but each of them reference a different symbol. So your Crooked Hats, and the Page of Crooked Hats, so each of them has like a character associated. So the Page of Crooked Hats is, just double checking, Thalia, so, and Joy. And so there's a whole poem and a whole, but it's basically saying joy, friendship. Now you see, so this might not link in, but actually I can see that if I look to my friends and if I take joy, then some of these work things will become easier. Also, if I look to friendship and joy while I'm becoming curious and looking ahead, then maybe that'll help me see the way forward through these things. But I do think, aside from those being very white, I do think they're working well together. Anyway, I am rambling. I hope you've enjoyed my little teeny weeny little video. This week we're on Labyrinth Tarot, Whitehair Wisdom Oracle, 4 Covens playing cards. Next week we're going to swap, and I'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, I wish you all well, and look out for another video coming soon, because hopefully I'll get a couple done. In the meantime, take care. Bye.